it's taking a while. Hey, there we go. All right, welcome to today's episode of Power Play Perspective. Zaz here to the stream's left, but to my actual right. And sitting in for Jeff today is Cyrus. He's not gonna be speaking, but he's
No,
sitting in the
that's me,
chair.
bro. That's me.
Definitely,
That's
actually,
me.
yeah,
That's not Cyrus. That's
it's
me.
definitely Jeff. He's definitely
Yeah,
shaking
that's
his
me.
head at me right now.
Yes, I am. What's your problem with that, huh?
Okay, can you put the trapdoors back, buddy?
Ugh.
Okay, there we go. That's really weird. I don't know why they like that. Okay, um, there's a lot to go over. There's a lot of scores, standings, trades, everything to go over. I believe the last time we did this was before the season, so it was a chaotic start to the season. Zaz, we can start with you. What have been your general thoughts on the season so far?
Amazing gameplay. Love to see it. Everything has been so great except for the teams like the Philadelphia Wings because their star player Kanye has left, but the and Atlanta is very inconsistent team. But the game everyone's been pretty balanced. Great. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's been a while since I think you can truly say that, you can sort of actually have a debate about who's going to make the playoffs and who's going to win the cup and really make it far. But this season, it does feel like there is that. There's a couple teams who can maybe miss the playoffs. And there's some, you really don't know what's going to happen when you actually get there. There's a lot of pretty solid teams here who are going to end up qualifying for the playoffs. But we'll shift over to Jeff. Jeff, what are your thoughts so far?
I think this season's been the best at toning down the skill gap. I think many skaters, I mean, many teams have their superstar skater, but I think the gap between the top one to the top eight is pretty small, and I think just the competitiveness of each team. I mean, realistically, the bottom two teams, Philadelphia and Portland, only got screwed out of like being like mentally out of playoff contention because of their past owners, which we could talk about later. But I think if they had started the season off like this, I mean, all teams could be in the playoff picture. I mean, there's not really one team where like you can go and say, oh, they're like really, really bad. Or at least like the bottom teams that have like a pretty solid core lineup, like Philadelphia and Portland.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and I think the gameplay has also been a lot more closer. I think that we've had more closer games so far. There's been a bit of there's been like maybe three blowouts within the season, I think, but that's due to the certain teams having new ownerships and all of that and having to get sorted out. But besides that, all like the top seven teams have had like all their games have been like two, 1 to 3 goals maybe. But even the 3 goal games weren't that like blowout. So yeah.
hmm Yeah, no, I totally agree. Obviously you're gonna have blowouts. They're part of every season, but I think this is the fewest we've seen in a pretty long time. Um, you know, if I scroll back here in the scores, there is still a few. There's a 7-0 game, a 9-2, a 9-1, a 7-0, but there hasn't been a. I think the worst one was probably Miami versus Atlanta, which was 13-0 somehow. But you've seen way worse. You've seen like 17, 18 goals scored in a game here, and you don't have to go that far back. A couple seasons ago, probably you can find one of those games, and there's just so much more of them usually. But this season, it's been a lot closer. And even so, a team will get blown out by. I mean, just take a look at Atlanta. They get blown out 13-0 by the Vipers, and then they turn around and win a game 4-0. So it's just. There's been so like much chaos. And if you go back earlier in the season as well, you had Baltimore on the first night of the season, right? You have Baltimore beating Chicago. Baltimore looks like an incredible team, and they still are. I do not discredit them at all. And then New Jersey beats them in overtime. A huge come from behind win. Crazy game. One of the best of the season, in my opinion, so far. Then El Paso loses big time to San Diego. San Diego looks elite, and they still do. And then El Paso drops a game to Atlanta, and you're like, what the hell? Is El Paso just terrible? But then they come around and then they beat the Dragons, who had just beat Baltimore, as our co-host disappears from behind me, but that's okay. Um, there's just been so much chaos, and then the Vipers lose to the Dragons. There's been just so much back and forth. The Wings, despite being pretty bad, they've hung in games. Um, Portland a little less so. They've only played a few though. Atlanta has been really impressive, especially for all the changes that they went through. How are you in the chair? How have you managed that? Okay, there we go.
Wait, can I also add that the lower teams are getting better and better. Like first, like you're losing by 13, then you're losing only by 6 or 7. Atlanta really has been improving,
You're not
and their
fucking
rebuild
funny.
and
Shut
their
up.
rebuild ever since Patriot left the ownership, left the league, and came back in 3 days, and then they traded away a Clippe. They have improved so much, and you have to love to see it from an experienced owner, Nene.
Yeah, it's been a while since he's owned. I believe the last time we really did see him own was the beginning of season 8 with the Schooners, but then he really left ownership in the hands of someone else by two other people that season. It was a rough season for that team, going through a lot of different owners. But yeah, he really hasn't gotten an opportunity here. But you know what? His team may not be the best on paper, and they are still losing some big games. Um, but they have a good culture here, and I'm pretty sure my Wi-Fi is really bad right now, so I apologize about that.
Can we talk about the other team, Philadelphia Wings, with a brand new signing? RC remote control back in
I
action.
think I think we should go into the standing review so we can go in depth about each team. So I think we should all shift over to the conversation about how the standings look right now and how each team has been doing currently.
Yeah, I think we should go into standings and then dive into
You can
some transactions because there's
you can
some big ones.
you
So
can start Zaz about Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
as their bottom, yeah.
they really they shouldn't. I don't know. It's just so unfortunate what happened to them losing their star player because of ACL tear early in the season. But you know that's what has to happen. Yet your depth players have to step up, and they just get blown out every game. And Hockey Man has a .500 every time. It's unfortunate, but they're getting better with new requirements.
For context for the people who are watching, Philadelphia currently sits at dead last in the league with 0 points. Currently 0-5-0, all regulation losses, 5 games played. Because the massive story coming out of Philadelphia was 2 games into the season after two really devastating losses. Their star player Kanye got an ACL injury and is out for the season and had to relinquish ownership due to it. So now under hands of new ownership in Hyperstage, their lineup has been a bit underwhelming to say the least, but currently now they look like they might have a new light with new signing and unretired RC. So with that, the lineup would be RC, Hyperstage, and Hockey Man, all at one point in their careers very solid role players who helped their team get to new heights. Very interesting how this team looks now. Tusky, what's your opinion on it?
I think this team is not nearly as bad as their record shows, and I don't think they're on paper the worst team in the league. For me, especially with the unretiring and signing of RC to this team, it's not a great team still, but to me, this team is sort of the island of misfit toys team. It's a home of a bunch of guys who at one point were considered to be like pretty decent, and they all filled their roles well on a team. RC was that plug and play sort of forward kind of guy. Hockey Man was good as a goaltender, especially you think about his days with the Redcoats, mainly making it all the way to that finals and playing pretty well. And then Hyper Sage obviously also having a good season that same season, getting defeated by Hockey Man when he was on the Reapers. Um, and they've all kind of lost a step in my opinion. RC to the point of retirement, but you still do have to look at them and say that this team's not nearly as bad as it was. And no disrespect to Angry Ginger Boy, but I just don't think he was really working in this lineup. Um, but I'm excited to see how this team works now. I gotta be honest. I'm interested to see if they can stay in some more games. Um, but yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
they're the worst team in the league, and I think their future is brighter than some other teams on this.
I could definitely agree with that. Personally, I believe Philadelphia might be. They could, if they would have started with this lineup in the season, I think they maybe could. be a French playoff team. But I think currently with where they stand, it's very difficult to get out of this slump that they've been in. I think it's definitely possible. RC, they have two former Rookie of the Years and not Hypersage and Hockey Man and RC. You have Hypersage who was could be a good role player. I mean, Hockey Man, former Vezina contender. I mean,
Hmm.
it really just comes down to can they reach that peak form again? And if they do, they have a very solid lineup, not elite, but solid and consistent lineup when they were all at their peaks. So it really comes down to how they perform and if they're able to get that step in their pip again.
Hmm.
So I think our thoughts on Philadelphia is just could be a good lineup, just currently in a very bad slump. As we shift to the next team, who is also winless, all losses in regulations, the 0-3-0 Portland Huskies. What's your thoughts on it, Zaz?
I think it's very unfortunate what happened to them because they were supposed to, like, in my opinion, in the beginning of the season, I ranked them like number two or one. But now they, new ownership, new players, it's a fresh roster with inexperience, and you can't really do much with the team. But I think they're trying their like best and to make new moves and just improving and getting better. I'm pretty sure they play later today, so let's see how that works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the two teams that we just have mentioned are set to play later tonight. I could be wrong. Um, but I think it will be Portland versus Philadelphia later tonight. So if you are watching on this and for whatever reason you're not tuning into MSPN, go check that out. The game will be there if it ends up happening, if it's streamed. Um, but no, I totally agree with what you said. And in my opinion, Portland is sort of the dark, evil brother of Atlanta. You know, Atlanta's all sunshine and rainbows. They still might not be very good, but they're at least winning games and they have a good culture and the vibes are high. But with Portland, I feel like that's not the case at all. You know, in Atlanta, the players respect the owner because he understands the team. He doesn't have unrealistic expectations, and he's not like a complete, knobhead. And I don't think you can say that for Portland. You know, it doesn't seem like any of the players really respect him. There's no real direction with the team, you know, either. So it's not a great roster on paper. Half the team doesn't like the owner. It's a very tough situation in Portland, and I think their days are going to be much gloomier than Philadelphia's going forward.
I definitely agree with that. I think the preseason expectation for the Huskies is way higher than they is now. Obviously, collapsement of the team former Wisno winner and good in who owned the cup winning team last season in the Rhinos, Chronics, drafted defensive player of the year, dragged him with his first round pick, and his buddy Ivy, who's a former multiple time MVP and cup winner. The expectations were really high, but really came down to the fact that they trusted Ivy's activity too much when he hasn't played in a while. So it all collapsed once they didn't play any games. Dragon wanted out, and Crocs was tired of it. Ivy trading his star player to Baltimore, which we get into in later. But then you give the ownership to Tino when Crocs steps down. I mean, unreliable first year owner. He did get some active players, but no one that's good. I think I could see them being winless this rest of the season with the schedule that they have and just no consistency in their lineup. Even their star player, who's technically Bricey Boy, man, his puck delay is worse than I don't even know. So yeah, just very gloomy for the future of Portland. And I don't know if they're gonna win a game this season.
Yeah, their best chance to probably get a win is later tonight if they end up facing Philadelphia. But even then, that's not exactly a great game going into it, for them. We said that Portland had a decent chance against Atlanta, but Atlanta just whooped them all night. That game was streamed on MSPN. We were all there. The desk was not necessarily shocked. I think we kind of expected Atlanta to win, but not like that. I mean, that was just an ass kicking. Let's be honest here. But I think from the expectations that this team had at the start of the season to go through an ownership change, to go through a completely new set of players, it hasn't been a good season, and I definitely agree. I think they could definitely be winless, and I don't know about the future for this team. Tino probably not super likely to return as an owner next season, so whoever comes in has a tough roster to rebuild.
Yeah,
Go
I think
Brycey
with
boy, go.
that, we can go into Yeah, he's been the shining brave for the Portland Huskies currently.
Hmm.
We can get into our next team, which is kind of a shocking one. In the eighth seed in the standings, currently the Boston Armada, who have won one game, lost in OT, and lost in regulation. 1-1-1 with 3 points in 3 games played.
This one's kind of shocking to me, Zaz. If you want to give your thoughts here before mine, I know I've been speaking quite a lot.
I don't think their standings represent how good the team is because they're scheduled that they've knocked out one of the two of the best teams. So they knocked out one and they played 1-2. So their 1-1 record doesn't really represent how they are as a team. I think this team's a great roster and they're definitely going to be higher later in the season. And it's just they just had a hard schedule so far, so I can't really blame them for being this low. What do you think about that, Jeffrey LOL?
I think that I can definitely agree with your statement there. I think they've played El Paso, who they lost to. First game of the season, I mean, Spine's not playing in the Wild because due to inactivity, and you have Minty in there. I mean, can't really blame the loss.
The time is
So,
now.
yo, get the
Nope,
fuck out the
nope,
fucking DC.
no. Both of you. Nope, 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 nope. We're going to the private VC. Nope, that's enough.
I timed them out too, so yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Just go to stuff you see. Oh yeah, no, we can say here then.
Okay,
But yeah,
that's cool.
so obviously, sorry, technical difficulties. I have very obviously a better roster than the eighth seed. You've played Baltimore, you played El Paso, you lost to both, but you at least got a point out of the Baltimore game. Very tough, gritty game against Baltimore. I think you definitely showed how good you were. I think El Paso was just an outlier game, being the first game of the season. So I just believe that this team will get better. They obviously won the game. So I think the key to it is just being active. If Spines and Optic continue to play, if they get Zebra or not that they have newly acquired Patriot, which we were talking about in transactions, I think very solid tender tandem. And so I think they have all the pieces to win a championship. And I think if they stay active, they'll have no problem with it because they're two really good tenders who can both win the Vezina if they wanted to, honestly. And you have a defensive player of the year, you have a MVP level forward. I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah. Um, I gotta be honest here. I'm gonna go a slightly different route. I think this team is very good, and I don't think their record tells the entire story, but a bit of good and bad, really, because yes, they have their two losses have come to pretty good teams. Um, but in all honesty, they haven't beat a legit team yet. Their one win, I believe, comes against Atlanta. Sorry, Philly. Fresh after losing Kanye, they had Hockey Man, Hypersage, and Angry Ginger Boy playing in this game, and they also had Boston also had Zaz as a redshirt skater. So that's in my opinion, that's pretty much way better than Optic. He's had a tough year so far. Um, but then you move on to their next game against El Paso. It's a 3-1 loss. It's not that bad if you just look at the score sheet. But if you did watch the game, it was not close at all. And they didn't score, I believe, till like 20 something seconds left in the game. I will say, though, they looked very good in the game against Baltimore, and that was a very close game. They did, I believe, I can't remember which team had the lead first. If one of you guys could.
Baltimore.
Boston. No, Baltimore. Yeah, no, it was
Yeah,
Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore was up 2-0, and then
So Boston was the one who came back, and good effort by them. Good what's the word I'm looking for
Right.
here? Like resilience, good resilience there to come back and tie the game. They end up losing in overtime, but I thought that game looked very good for them. And I like the move for Patriot. I think it gives them more activity. But he didn't look too good in the Baltimore game. If I'm being honest, I think he could have looked a little bit better. But I don't know. It's a weird team, and it's a hard one to gauge because the two teams that they have played and lost to, you could argue, are both top three in the league right now. And the team that they did beat is is dead last in the league, hasn't won a game or even come close to winning a game yet. So This is a hard one to gauge. I think they probably will make the playoffs, but at the same time, they don't exactly have an easy schedule. Their most favorable game coming up is Atlanta, and they've given some teams some trouble um, here and there, and you never know what version of Atlanta you're gonna get on a night-to-night basis. So it's a bit of a weird team for me to rank. But if they can stay active and stay consistent and get some secondary goal scoring from Optic, I think they'll be okay.
I can agree with that. And now that we finish with Boston, I think we go to the playoff positions. We go talk about Miami now, which is the seventh seed, currently a 2-3 record, 2 wins and 3 losses in regulations, 4 points currently. And so I'll pass it over to Zaz. What's your thoughts on this team?
I think this team is not what I expected it to be honest. I think, like, on paper, their roster is actually really good. Um, they have Mysterious Fish at forward, Nathan at defense, and goalie is Sports Remies. We'll talk about that later, but I think, I don't know. I don't think this team is really that great. I think they should be better than 2-3. They've just lost, they've just lost way too much, and they have a losing record. Nathan needs to step up. He's not playing how he did last season at defense. He obviously is still a great player, but once him and Mysterious Fish need to work on their chemistry because it's not really there right now. But once they get that, this team should top five probably. But right now, it's just not clicking.
I can totally agree with that. I think if you look at the games that they won and lost, they're definitely on project because they've lost to Baltimore, they lost to New Jersey, and they lost their other game to Chicago. Granted, Chicago, they didn't have a serious fish, but still, the games you said have your full lineup, you didn't win. And you've yet to be a good team. And as much as Mysterious Fish likes to talk about him and Nathan's chemistry, you only beat a bad Portland team in their first game. No, second game as a team again. And you beat a bad Atlanta team who was their second game coming back, but their first game was against Philadelphia. So honestly, very much on fraud to watch because well, what teams have you beat? I think this team has come very. They don't have the chemistry. When you look at them play, Nathan plays forward. Then why do you have him see fish on defense? Both of them are playing out of position there. But since Nathan's ego tells him to play forward, that's what he's gonna do. And then you have when they do play their positions, it feels like they don't know each other. Like they don't pass on time. They don't get those chances, which obviously you need. You can't you can't try to win games but not have any offense. So yeah. And then their goaltending has a whole nother issues that you have Sports, he's decent, but he's not gonna win you championship. Neither is Mem or whoever the hell else you have. So yeah. What about you, Husky?
Yeah, this team, in my opinion, they don't have an easy schedule coming up either. They have San Diego, they still have El Paso, Boston, um, you know, and they do still have another game against Portland, I think, unless I forgot to remove that from the schedule, which I did. Oopsie daisies. Um, but yeah, they have a tough schedule coming up. They haven't beat a team better than them, basically, and which is one thing when you haven't played some of them, sure, but they had a big opportunity here against Chicago in their last game. And correct, was this the game that they were missing Mysterious Fish, or did they have him against
Yeah,
Chicago?
they're missing Mysterious Fish.
Okay. So I'll give them a slight pass on this, but to basically get shut out 5-0 except for 2 garbage time goals against a team that is, I believe, barely ahead of you in the playoff push, that that's not a good sign for me. And like you guys said, the chemistry doesn't seem to be there. Nathan and Fish are both playing out of position, and that's fine on some teams if you know what you're doing, but when you have like a perennial defensive player of the year candidate in Nathan playing as a forward when he can't really shoot, and Mysterious Fish, who can't really defend on defense, it's not a good recipe for success, especially with a goaltender who you don't know which version of him you're going to get every game. So this team's one bad. I want to be optimistic about them, but if they lose bad to a San Diego or an El Paso or a Boston, I'm writing them off. You know, they can still prove me wrong here, but until they either start playing their guys in a good position or start beating teams that are ahead of them, I I can't give them any credit or believe in them at all to go deep this season.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair judgment of this team. I think now we can go on to the sixth seed, which is the Chicago Blues, who are currently 2-1 with two wins and a regulation loss. I'm a casual there, so can keep in mind.
This team, like you have two veteran skaters who've teamed up together, and their chemistry is just like one of the best I've ever seen. The thing is, the real question is their goalie. I heard rumors that Chef Curry is going to be starting in net, but I don't know how true that is. I heard that from people in the team themselves that they want Chef Curry starting, and he might have to start soon. So that's very interesting. I wonder how he can take that team, Chef Curry in net. But their loss was against Baltimore, who's number one. So they were able to beat Chicago. They beat Miami, and I can't put my finger on the other team, but I don't. I feel like they're gonna be good. Uh, Beginning of the season, I wasn't expecting much because I didn't think I thought Cyrus was not going to be as good, but he's still playing. Him and Landon still play great together. And Landon's like he's coming up on his twilight years of his career, but he's still performing. Same with Cyrus. So yeah, I mean, six is a good spot for them. I think they'll probably stay around this area by the end of the season. What do you think about that, Husky?
No, I agree. I think I might have judged this team a little too early on after their opening night loss to Baltimore. I think me, along with some other people, were like, this team might be cooked. But I think I might have overreacted a little bit, so I did want to pump the brakes on that. I was just really worried about Cyrus's ability to still perform, as well as Landon's. Um, but I think they've both settled in fairly nice. Both realistically probably in their last couple of seasons, but they're still both playing pretty well. But again, like you said, the questions lie in the goaltending. Is it this absolute drone Rockwat, or is it Tubby Nuts Chef Curry? It's not really good either way. And you had a goalie prospect, I think he was a goalie prospect in King. Now he's gone. Then you have Rayado, who has yet to even touch the ice because he got good at BHL, so I don't really blame him. But yeah, it's a funky team. I'd expect them, like you said, to stay around this like 5, 6, maybe number 7 seed overall. I don't expect them to be much higher.
I can agree with that. I think for me, this team is the biggest question mark on this out of all the teams because you have the biggest question mark is always your goaltender. I mean, what are you gonna do? You either have Unk, you either have
You suck.
fucking other people. But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? You have two veteran players up there who give you wisdom, sure, but like, I mean, what are you gonna do? And the biggest question comes in the playoffs because Brandon and Cyrus have been to perform in playoffs. And not to mention when you don't have an elite goalie or like even a good goalie, technically, you don't know. And plus the matchups that they won against Atlanta, they won against Miami, who were kind of crippled without Fish. So you don't know how the team's genuinely is. They lost to Baltimore, but even without me. So it's a lot of question marks on this team. But I think with that, we can go to the fifth seed, which is uh feel good story. Numbers fifth seed, 3-3, Atlanta Firebirds. Your thoughts, Saz?
I mean, this has been very exciting team to watch because you never know what you're gonna get. You're gonna maybe get a nice friendship win or a blowout loss, and the friendships wins always feels great because like you don't there were no expectations from this team, absolutely none, and they sit at an even record with like players you never would have expected to actually play good, just performing well. Like Gray scoring like 2 goals per game, I think, and you never see that. You never would have thought you'd see Gray like leading a team and you never think you'd see Nene getting random shutouts in the year 2025. So I think it's just very exciting. It's a very exciting underdog story.
Yeah, big time feel
I
good
mean,
story. Go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, I think this team. I think it's very shocking because even with the big moves that happened, Patriot leaving the league, giving up ownership, you have a Clippy demanding a trade when Patriot was owner and him going to El Paso. Even before all of that, they didn't expect to do much. You had a Clippy first round. He's a late first round, early second round talent. He should never have gone that high. You have Patriot, who was a big, somewhat choke artist, always like cracks under pressure. And then you have your third skater being Joe Dog, a rookie who did perform actually pretty decently in his games, but even he requested the trade and got traded to San Diego. So I mean, no expectations, even beginning of the season, middle of the season, even worse. Expected to be the bottom of the league. But now you're a 500 team, and you're very much in the playoff picture. And honestly, it is your spot to lose then. You will have 6 points, you're 500, and when the time where when two teams are already basically out of the contention, you only have to be better than one other team. This team controls themselves and whether they make playoffs or not, which is something that no one expected. And I think, honestly, this is the team I'm rooting for in the playoffs. Because, I mean, Nene, Gray, and whoever the heck, fucking Black Lamau, it's a crazy lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, you don't really know what version of the team you'll get on a night-to-night basis, but in my opinion, that's sort of what makes them fun. Um, And yeah, there's just a collection of guys you would had no idea would perform. If you told me that midway through the season there would be a starting lineup in the league of Nene, Gray, and Black Lamau, I would have laughed in your face and called you crazy. Because I don't think anyone expected anything like this. To go through such a big ownership and team change, sort of like what Portland did, but the difference is this team's sort of building off of it while Portland's just breaking it further down. Um, this team, and also I do gotta say, this team not only controls their own destiny for the playoffs, but has put that much more pressure on that one other team. Because whether it's Boston, whether it's Miami, whether it's Chicago, all three of those teams, you know, they, I think at least two of them still play Atlanta. An upset win there could single-handedly just derail their playoff hopes entirely. And all of a sudden, you've just lost a playoff spot to Atlanta, a team that had zero expectations at the start of the season with Patriot, Eclipse, and Joe Dog, and now had even less with a completely new roster and new owner. So it just puts that much more pressure on the other teams to perform while still being such a cool story to look at for Atlanta as a team themselves. And it's been really cool to watch, and I love the culture they're building over there, even if they get blown out almost, half the time.
Yeah. I think that's a very feel good story. I think we go now to the fourth seed, which is one of the top teams in the BMHL, currently 3-1-1, and with 7.5 games played. It is the New Jersey Devils. What's your thoughts on it, Zaz?
I think Cam is being such a great leader of this team. Oh, not leader, such a great player of this team, and how he's been.
Ooh,
Well, yeah, he's been calling his defender horrible every time he plays, but yeah, he's one of the great. He's a great offensive player. I think he's top one offensive wise. But he is having an MVP caliber season, and they're able to win 3-1-1. I don't think anyone else has scored a goal except him. So I mean, that just kind of shows. That just shows a lot. I mean, it shows that this team is probably a little high because I don't think they're gonna. You need a defender, and you need Coops to play better than what he has been. I mean, he had a few good games, but you can't be walking into your own net after like a season you just had last season. And they need to find like a solid defender. Wait, is Coops playing defender or goalie?
He's a defender mainly.
defender.
Oh, well, I mean, still, I don't even know who their goalie is then, but you know what? Just skip me. Who else? Who else wants to go? I don't know enough.
I mean, this team is the most basic story ever. You have one elite player carrying the team. As much as he is annoying as fuck, he's carrying the fucking team. Cam is clearly the MVP front runner, which we will talk about later. I mean, when your team is 3-1-1, supposedly a really good team, but when 10 of your 11 goals scored is by one player, I think that says a lot. When even when you lose, the fact that Cam it still gets a star. They lost to San Diego. He still was one of the three stars because he had 6 shots in goal and just had so much offense in that game. I mean, yeah, in his other loss, he was the second star because he had a goal that sent the game to OT. I mean, nothing much you can say other than this is the New Jersey Camps. I mean, their skaters have been inconsistent. Sports beginning of the season shot the bed. Who's a bit more decent, but not serviceable for a championship team, in my opinion. Goalies, I mean, who do they have? DJ Huggy? Oh no, he retired. Who else?
Weebu.
Who's a goalie?
Weebu
Fuck,
mainly.
Weebu? Rookie of the year last season. Fucking shot the bed this season. I mean, he's very mid. I mean, this team can be a championship team if Cam had any other help, but very questionable how they're gonna do.
Yeah, this team to me right now is screaming like embarrassing first round exit to a lower seed. If they even stay up that high, they could fall to this 5, 6, 7 seed.
6-7.
Really. Yeah, I could see them easily falling to one of those spots. I mean, like you said, it's been the New Jersey Cams so far. I mean, Weebu hasn't looked himself in net. Coops has been okay at skater, but when you have, your star player in Cam and just sort of just well actually no not sort of he just literally going around during the game and saying, oh, you suck, you're terrible to your own defenseman every game. you know I don't think that's a good thing to look at when you go further down the stretch and into the playoffs. um it's This is the one team I'd say out of the top 5 that I look at and I'm like, I don't know. Like all the other teams I feel like are on the right path. New Jersey, I feel like are falling a bit backwards here. So I think they got to figure something out, whether that's a trade or whatever. I don't think trading Sports was the right move, especially if you played him at goalie where he belongs. I think this team would maybe be in a little bit better of a position, but because, let me look at their schedule real quick. I mean, Boston twice, no easy games there. Portland and Atlanta. So you do get a couple comfortable games here, but 3 of them are pretty difficult. So I think they'll probably stay in the upper half here of the playoff seeds, but still, I'd keep an eye on this team here unless they do something about their defensive issues.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with that. Now we go into the upper echelon of the BMHL teams. You go into the third tier, which is the only undefeated team left. The 4-0 San Diego Wildcats, or whatever the fuck the name is.
Yep, you got it.
Mr. Pixel, you can speak.
Oh, okay. I really don't like this. I don't like anyone on this team, but wow, they play amazing hockey. SCP, look at him go. The way he defends the puck and shoots it from half ice, you never expect it from him because he's been like a lower end player his entire career. But now, out of nowhere, he's just like, I'm playing with Arden B and Kazu. Wow, this is my chance to be great. So Arden B, the one of the he's like when you think of 4-star, you think of Arden B, really, or Optic, but you think of Arden B nowadays. So and he's been leading his team. I mean, last season he played with Mysterious Fish and carried them to Game 5 against the Thunderbirds. And look at him now; he's playing with the MVP level player in SCP. And Kazu, I guess he's a good goalie. What do you think about that, Husky?
You know, this team, I can't say anything bad about them because they've played great and they've beat good teams. I can't talk bad about them as much as I'd like to. You know, I like you said, I really don't like anyone on this team. I mess with SCP, and Arden can be funny when he feels like it, I guess.
Oh, I just hate Kazu.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think we're on the same page there. Um, but they have a decently simple schedule to go. You play the Vipers twice, I believe. Yeah, you do. You play Boston, you play Chicago. None of those are easy games, but then you have a game against Philly. You still play um, Portland again. So it's a pretty not easy schedule, but not the hardest either. I think they will for sure have a top 2, maybe 3 seed um, come the end of the regular season. But for me, playoffs is what matters for this team. They can, you know, parade around like they've won the cup every single time they make a crappy trade for two guys who have never seen the ice before, or, whenever they beat Atlanta by like 3 goals or what have you. But if you can boast about regular season success all you want. Doesn't matter if you don't do anything in the playoffs. Arden has not really done much in the playoffs outside of the season 15, I believe, cup run, or 16, excuse me, with the Americans. Other than that, hasn't really done much in the playoffs. Kazu is sort of what Patriot is, but like less bad. He's like junior Patriot in terms of playoff just dog shit. Um, and SCP, yeah, when did this guy get good at the game? I think we could all agree he was not the best there. He finished out last season with the St. Louis Rivermen. Everyone kind of forgot about him. Then I guess all of a sudden this season he can rip a top corner pisser from the center ice logo. Um, so yeah, I don't know. You know what? Good story for him. He probably is in most improved in that conversation for the awards. And again, as much as I'd like to shit talk this team, I can't really because they have beat some pretty good teams.
I can agree. Can't really say much on the field, so not many flaws. I think it's a very beatable team, though. I think all they just mesh well really good. They're the junior team, so they have Kim there, but
Hmm.
yeah, they're all kind of skilled. Arden's been pretty good, good forward. He's able to switch too, so he gives SCP a spotlight, and SCP has been taking advantage of the spotlight. Then Kasu's just there, so yeah,
Yep, he exists. Unfortunately, in the Vesna conversation. Unfortunately, what can you
yeah.
do?
So yeah, I think with that we can go into the second seed. The worst team on the standings, that's for sure. So the El
Oh
Paso
man.
Renegades, 4-2-1, 9 points. Heads us to Zaz right now.
Clip A, the El Paso Renegades. You know, they have great skaters. Amazing depth. That's probably their biggest strength. Trading for star forward Joe, and the team really has. It's just great all around. Not really too many weaknesses. You have Vesna caliber player Nick. He's pretty old, but he does know how to save the puck. You have Mountain Q, great guy, great player, great defender. You have Husky the Tender. He's been playing for a while. He can lock it down with his veteranism. And T Guns, rookie, brand new player, always very active. And yeah, I think this team, they're really they exceeded my expectations at least because of the amazing trades and GM. So I think it's a great second place team. By the end of the season, they'll probably be same place in my opinion. I think they're a good team.
I can definitely agree with that. I think personally, this El Paso team is probably the team that's exceeded the most expectations because, suppose, in my opinion, we're just going to be a mid team at the beginning of the season, but they've really outgrown that, and been one of the better teams, one of the elite teams, one could say. I think who they beaten and who they lost to can lead to a little bit of questions. But besides that, I think good lineup, good depth. You have um three of your players, 3 out of 5 have been playing since the year two, like just two of BMHL. So yeah, playing since the 70s. Got Mountain Q's first like 58 years old in BMHL years. Husky's like 60 years old in BMHL years. Nick is fucking 98.
Just 6-7.
So okay, fuck. But very old, very veteran lineup. I think that's come to their aid when they needed it. I think they've been able to outclass some of the younger players. And you have a Clip A and T Guns who have been some youthfulness to this lineup that I think just meshes well. And I think the line changes have been elite from Coach Cyrus. Just just a good mesh. Just when everything works together, I think that's the example you can say for this team.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things. I don't want to go too deep into my own team here, but yeah, I think the depth works really well in a lot
Holy,
of
stop
cases.
yapping.
Yo, really? Um, I think the depth works well in a lot of cases. Say for example, your scoring line of Q and Eclipe aren't really working. You can throw out a young guy like T Guns or an Unk like myself, uh, and try and sort of just lock it down or just give yourself a different look, you know. And but yeah, obviously some tough losses here can, shed some doubt on this team. But I think just the versatility of this team is pretty good. And obviously Nick's had a great year, his return year after I believe 7 seasons away. So good for him to come back and prove that not even Unk, just Grandpa has still got it.
Yeah, I think very solid team. I think now we go to the obvious best team in the BMHL. I mean, what can you say about this team? So amazing, so glorious, so prestigious. This amazing city. The first seed, 5-0-2, undefeated in regulations. It's the Baltimore Pioneers. What's your thoughts on it, glorious as?
Oh wow, when they have a goaltender that is 6'5", I mean, what can you say? He good plays from everyone. Cash has improved so much. Jeff has also improved so much at skater because normally you think, wow, that guy's an all-star goalie back in 2 years ago, but now look at him. Like, comeback player of the year winner, defender, like lockdown, brick wall. And
What
yeah,
do you
it's
mean?
pass it off Tusky.
Um, there's a lot to like about this team. You have a great goalie. You've got really good skater synergy, which I wasn't really expecting coming into the season. Um, they don't really have a lot of glaring issues. Their goal scoring's been good. The defense has been good. Their clutch factor's been pretty good as well. It's been an active team. Um, yeah, no real issues or gripes with this team. My only like skepticism is just every now and again the offense can go a little bit cold, but I think that's gotten a lot better as the seasons went along. I think you saw that more in the early games, more so than games lately. I think Cash has just improved so much down the stretch, and Jeff's been a very good defensive player. Um, and of course you have Zaz, this geeked up guy next to me, just making the saves he needs to. So yeah, no real problems with this team here, and they're in great form here as they head into their final 3 games of the regular season, and they're possibly poised to make a President's Trophy run.
I mean, I think we have a 6-6 curly haired a brick wall as defense. I think it says a lot. But I think it's just been calmed down to the chemistry. I think me and Cash have been able to synchronize a bit better than people expected. I mean, not even I expected it to be that good. I think we've been able to work off of each other, and I think it's just been successful. No, you never had to worry about the goaltending because there's always going to be Zas, who is a glorious Asian king, bamboo stick and all. So
Bamboo
I think
stick
this
and
is
all.
a, I think this is an amazing team, and I think there's very few flaws. I think there's a good mix of young talent and cash. I think middle like prime of his career is as, and I think a veteran in me. I think it's a perfect mix of everything. But yeah,
Like,
I
can I
think
add
we
one
find
thing?
yeah.
They also, they acquired Defensive Player of the Year Dragoon Cup winner of the
Ooh,
season
yeah, that's
17
true. That's
Oakland
true.
Rhinos. We cannot sleep on him.
This brother's not playing
That
the
is
game,
a.
bro. Come on,
I
let's
mean,
be real.
but if he does play in the playoffs, I mean
He
that's
is definitely
actually
playing
like
a game.
I
a
mean,
very
he could,
crazy lineup.
he could, but then does that all of a sudden throw off the chemistry a little bit? Could. You never
Nah.
know.
Mm,
I mean, it's just I think you only make that change if you have to. I don't think you make that change when the team you have is already doing well. I don't think there's a point in doing that. It. I mean, not necessarily a pointless move, but not really one that was needed at this point in time when the team's still undefeated in regulation. If you know what I mean. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just saying it's just, eh, it's
I
there.
think we can talk about that as we talk about trades, as that can be our next topic, our trades. I mean. some solid trades. I think due to time and how much we've been yapping, I think we go over the important trades to say the least. So
Yeah,
I,
let's skip all
I'll
the useless Portland ones.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll tell you some trades from beginning to end of the season. I'll tell you all the important ones. I think the first important trade was the trade on October 6th, which was Miami receives sports for memes and New Jersey receives DJ Hockey in the Miami third rounder for season 19.
Um, holy scam. I mean, DJ Hockey retired, um, almost 48 hours after this trade. Um, actually, no, I don't think that's true. I think it was like a week later. But he retired nonetheless, and Miami gets a big need, which at the beginning of the season, I think we all knew that DJ Hockey probably wasn't the answer as their starting goalie. So they go pick up a new one in Sports Rooms, which he still has his problems. Don't get me wrong. You don't really know which version of Sports Rooms you're going to get on any given night. But it's without a doubt an upgrade over DJ, and considering he retired right after, that basically just becomes a third round pick for Sports Rooms, which is undoubtedly a fleece.
So as you may go.
It's a huge win for Miami because DJ Hockey is a brick and useless. No, I'm kidding. That's mean. He retired,
Yo,
so I mean,
that boy has a cup.
the third round, you're not. Yeah, he beat me.
Yeah,
But in the
he
third round, the third round draft pick is not too important. But sports teams, depends on caliber and whatnot. Great guy, great locker room presence. Um, yeah, I think it's a great trade for Miami, not for Portland, not for New Jersey.
I think I can agree. I think the points stand of like how you don't really trade much for sports from you. You get that goaltender need that maybe not like a massive upgrade, but it's the one you really need and one that's definitely a good get. I think although you don't, I might play a little bit devil's advocate. I think I can see why New Jersey did that. I mean, Sports didn't want to place goalie. He doesn't like Cam already. The chemistry in the locker room might be a bit off. So you go and get a trade for a goalie that's been solid for like mad teams, and but I see why they did it. It didn't work out at the end. So yeah, but I think it's just a win for Miami. You get your goaltender, and then New Jersey. I mean, I don't think you lose much technically because I think Sports are going to play net anyways. But yeah, I think our pieces have been set on upon that. Unless you guys want to say something else, I'll
Nah,
see that as a
I
no.
think I'm good.
I think another big trade was afterwards was the El Paso Renegades received Gray and the Clippe, and Atlantis receives fake Mr. Flim Flam, Sordid, and Dredgen, and the El Paso second round, which is a conditional second rounder for season 19.
That second rounder is very, very likely to become a. Actually, I think it is going to become a first round pick as soon as El Paso qualifies for the playoffs.
Okay. Well, I think I'll say my piece first. This is a massive trade that was very much a steal, but not as bad as I think people could think. Because under the new management of Nene, Atlanta did get sorted to play. I think they got Dredgen to play a game or two, and they're gonna get a first round pick. So I think it's a honestly for a player that didn't want to play for you in the Clip A, I think it's not a bad trade. It was a very bad trade for Patriot. I mean, Patriot is a shitty owner, but I think it worked out at the end for Nene because he got some good players, and I think El Paso here got a massive fleece. You get a Clip A who's been one of your good scorers so far in the season, a first liner, and I think honestly, if they would have kept Gray, it would have been the biggest like release of the sense of the season. But eventually, we'll talk about it. They traded away Gray, which I think was a bad thing. But I mean, you get a clip A, get your goal scorer, boom, for practically nothing of value. So yeah, but I think it's a definitely a win for El Paso more than a win for Atlanta. But I think Atlanta still won something.
I do want to bring something up here, a little off topic, but there is a game here in 6 minutes. So what we could probably do is just sort of speed run these last couple trades and then resume sort of after the game and do a post game recap as well as follow up with any other topics we had in mind.
I'm very down. I'm not going to sleep. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Um, I
Not as
think
a clown.
okay. I think this was a good trade for El Paso. They got what they needed, which is really a goal scorer to this point in the season when the trade was made. Their goal scoring hadn't been very, consistent. So they get that guy who can just consistently put pucks in the net. Um, even though questionable locker room presence, but at the end of the day, he's sort of like toddler. What's the stupid toddler toilet cam? If that makes sense. Like, puts pucks in the net, not a great locker room presence, just probably doesn't score as much as Cam. That's the best way I could put that. But I think it was a fine trade for both sides. Atlanta got some young guys. El Paso, gets their goal scoring. Hello.
Did you hear something or not?
No.
All right.
Wow, that's really it.
Well, then as we try to go up trades, I think if we look here, I think the next massive trade here, honestly,
Dragon trade.
no, it's a Patriot. No, there's actually two.
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
Patriot trade.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Okay, so I'll go over this one. That's kind of important, but not too important. I'll go over Atlanta received Demidov, Go, Gray, Krabby, and a San Diego second for Joe Dog. Joe Dog being a fourth man for San Diego. I don't think they should have gave up that much for him because he hasn't played much. But Atlanta gets their main goal scorer in Gray, a second round pick, and Krabby and Demidov. Demidov been kind of active, but not as active for Atlanta. And then Krabby was the server, I think so. Yeah, that's something. But they got great their goal scorer and a second. So I think it was a pretty even trade, to be honest. But now we go to the important trade, which is Boston receives a third round pick from Atlanta for season 19 and Patriot. Atlanta gets a Boston first round pick from season 19 and Minty.
Great trade
Um,
for Boston.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I think Boston won the trade, but I don't think Atlanta made out bad at all either. Because now, all of a sudden, drafts aren't necessarily the greatest thing, as we know. We've seen a lot of crappy drafts. Um, but at the same time, Atlanta has their own first round pick, El Paso's first round pick, once that conditional second gets turned into a first, and then now Boston's first round pick. Now, two of those picks are probably not going to be very high in the draft order, but the other one might be. And all of a sudden, say you don't want to draft someone, even if there is, say there's a decent prospect, you can draft him. Or if you don't want to draft someone, you can package those picks up and maybe make a trade for someone who wants to play for you, maybe long term. So I like the move for both sides. Boston gets their goalie who's more active than Zebra. Minty, I don't think was too bad. I don't think he was the problem in Boston. It's just not a great fit there, I don't think. But again, don't think it was the player's fault. Um, and yeah, Atlanta loads up for the future.
I agree. I think now Atlanta has two very early first round picks, and their first round pick and what's it called, Boston. So they get a good starting goalie for them because I mentioned he's always going to be a starter. You give up someone who didn't want to play for you, and then yeah, you just give up him. So I think it's a win for both teams, and Boston gets their goalie. But I think he starts over Zebra to be honest, because Zebra hasn't fucking shown. So yeah,
Hmm.
then you guys want to say anything or not?
Uh,
Next trade, very important trade. Dragon goes to
I
Baltimore
want to talk about
for
this one.
yeah. For you can talk about it because I'm not going to speak about it because I want to hear it.
I
For
mean, what a great.
ours FDWZ spray Baltimore first, uh Baltimore second, and future considerations.
Yeah, this is a very hefty package. You get ours, played 2 games this season. You get FDWZ, who said, who was interested in playing, and you get Spray 23, longtime veteran in the league, and you get a first, and you get a second, and you get a future consideration. So I think Portland, if the owner was not Tino your barber, they could have won because then maybe they want to play, but I don't think any of them wants to play because the owner is Tino. So they definitely lost by a mile because Dragon's a defensive player of the year. But either way, it's not. They may have lost a trade, but it wasn't a bad move for them because Dragon wasn't going to play, and at least you get maybe one active player or two, and you get picks. So
That's fair. I agree. What about you, Husky? You have anything to say?
Not really. I think I kind of gave most of my thoughts there earlier. It's a move. It exists. If Dragon plays, it's a good move for Baltimore. But in my opinion, they already have a good thing going. So it just wasn't a huge need
Like,
necessarily to get him.
Yeah. I think I'll go over two pretty decent, important early trades for at least Portland. I think Atlanta receives Black Lamau, Egg Cat, and a season 19 third from Portland, and Portland gets Brycey Boy. Atlanta gets a good, active young prospect in Black Lamau and a third round pick. Egg Cat isn't going to play, but they get a good prospect and a decent, late pick, but decent, I guess. Then Portland gets their star player in Brycey Boy. I think that's a good trade for both. I think you get rid of one player that doesn't want to play for you. I think both gain something from that trade, which I think was beneficial for both. What about you guys?
yeah. I
Nothing,
mean, I
nothing much to say. Or
Yeah, not a whole lot
Bryce
to go
Boy
over.
is going.
Bryce Ebo's had a
I
nice
think
season. And Atlanta actually, Black Lamau actually is looked. He's only played one game, but he looked good in it. So that's certainly something to look at. Eggcat probably not going to play. Bryce Boy has had a nice season, so it's more so just a 1-for-1 swap and then a couple throw-ins there for an Atlanta. But I think it was a fine swap overall. I think it's a fine trade for both teams.
I think the last trade we talk about is what happened today because I think both I think Portland gets their starting goalie Liam Gerkwig, and then Miami receives a good backup in Ende who played decently in his first game in his debut, and he gets Miami gets the season 19 third and second from Portland. I think pretty good trade from Portland because they get a starting goalie for someone that doesn't play that much, but at least you get an active goalie. And then Miami gets a backup that's pretty decent in first game in some draft picks. So yeah,
Yeah, I think my real last thing that I do want to say, I think it's a good trade. But so one more move that I wanted to talk about. I think the Joe Dog move, like I think it's a good move for San Diego, but for him as a player personally, that makes no sense. I mean, he just started scoring and really, started developing. Why would he go to a team where he is not starting one bit? It doesn't matter how much Kazu talks up. Oh, we have the best depth in the league, and we're making such good trades. Chorog's not touching the ice, so I just don't understand why he'd want to go to San Diego. I get the VC vibes are high there for him, I guess, but why not go somewhere where he actually can start? You know, so it didn't seem like a great move for there.
anyway, I think we got all the trade important trades done. I think we can talk about the game coming up, Philadelphia versus Portland. Well, what are we going to talk about?
Miami.
Very important game actually. Then,
But Miami is not here.
Yeah,
They
Miami
forgot they had a
is
not
not
game.
true.
present. They
Um, that's I mean, sports is not here.
are any of them here? Oh,
Nathan the
one of
God is
them.
here.
Hey, okay,
They
got
could definitely get
one.
a red shirt. So let's talk about the preview of this game. Current lineups projected to be if everyone shows up is currently for Miami, Nathan and Serious Fish as your skaters, and then projected to be Sports for Me from that. What do we think about that lineup?
It's their main lineup.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's their main lineup they've used just about all season. Actually, wait. Would this be smarter to do on MSPN
Um,
as like a pregame desk sort of thing instead of on here?
if you want, yeah. Oh, wait, are you gonna stream the game?
Yeah. Oh shit,
Yeah,
I'm
then
already
just do it
here.
there.
Okay. So thanks for watching this podcast. We'll be back after the game. Give our post game recap and any
Hey,
other
if you
topics.
want to tune in, yeah.
Make
If you
sure to
want
check out
to
MSPN.
finish the power play episode, go to MSPN because we will be continuing power play on that. So yeah.